Hello, good day to you all. This is TekEVO's Tekker Talks podcast we do weekly with Tony and Evan. Today we want to answer a few questions we've received. Just keeping in mind you can submit your questions for this weekly podcast, and we'll try to get to them in our podcast and answer them as best as we can. Evan, why don't you tell us about the first couple of questions that we have today?
Yeah, so like Tony said, we'll be receiving questions from you guys, players that we already train, whether they be on the youth side or the professional side, or even college players. So we're accepting all questions from anybody. And so a good way to ask these questions could be through social media, through comments, or even direct message us. That's completely fine as well. If you have our number, our contact, and you're already training with us, text message is completely fine, or email, whatever's best. So don't be afraid to ask any questions. Be as specific as possible, whether it relates to you, whatever's on your mind, current event, anything. So the very first question we got is from Connor. And he asked, how do you know when to slow down or speed up the game? What are your thoughts, Tony?
Well, I mean, I think it's situation specific. Obviously, you want to maintain possession the best that you can. Taking your space when you have it and vision is key to answering that question with respect to whether you pass or move forward. So I think that's 2-3 key points right there.
Right. Yeah, and something that comes to mind is really whether you want to slow down or speed it up is sometimes, or usually maybe, depending on the urgency of the game. Sometimes you may be up 1-0 or 2-0, and you might want to slow that game down a little bit, because just the knowledge, just knowing that, if you keep that game speed up, it almost helps the other team as well. It keeps that intensity going, where sometimes just slowing it down, maybe taking a little bit longer to get that throw in back into play. Maybe when you hold the ball a little bit longer, when you're under pressure, that can slow down the game and slow the momentum down for the other team. And then the other team get that speed back up. Whereas if you keep it up, it helps them continue to fight through it, So, and then at the same time, when you're down, you might want to speed that game up, get the ball moving quicker, whether it be dribbling or passing, trying to be a little bit more dangerous and playing the riskier balls and at a higher pace. And that might put the team that's up kind of on the back foot, so that's sure. An important point to make as well.
Situation specific, sure.
Right. It's all situational. For sure.
Good point.
Yeah. Okay, so the second question from Emily. What do you do if you cannot check your shoulder?
So with regards to checking your shoulder, it's always keeping in mind that you should be looking and having vision on and off the ball. And my thought is if you can't check your shoulder, always play the safest pass or at least protect the ball. So if you're facing the player that you've gotten the ball and someone comes up to you and you feel, or someone says man on, then you might want to play it directly back into support. And then that way you're keeping possession and also giving the ball back before you get, before it's taken away. If you can't check your shoulder, you should play the safest pass or protect the ball. That's pretty much my thought with respect to that. And Evan, you can elaborate on that.
Definitely great point. Perfect point. And something that comes to mind for me is yes, you may not be able to check that shoulder because you're under pressure and maybe you didn't think ahead, so really that lack of being able to check your shoulder is really, you not being aware enough and thinking ahead enough where, you know, if you watch the pros, they're checking their shoulder. They know where everyone is at all points of the match, you know. So by the time the ball is being played to you, it's too late to check the shoulder. I should have known that 2-3 plays ahead of where people are playing.
Great point.
And then off of that, the next point to me is, you know, receiving on the half turn. You know, as I was growing up, you were very particular about receiving the ball side on, you know, and be able to receive the ball side on. I do have a visual focus and awareness of both ends of the field. Whereas if you only face the ball, right, there's so much behind you that you're not able to see. So to me, it's that receiving on the half turn, receiving half on, and now I can see both ends of the field and increase my awareness prior to.
That's a good point. I mean, if you receive it on the half and you receive it on the front foot, then you're basically protecting the ball and seeing it also. So again, you know, elaborating on what you said about the pros and being able to see, if you look at in one of our sessions that we've done in cognitive, the video shows the player looking 17 to 20 times before he receives the ball. And then that way he's aware, and sure, situation
you're breaking up a little bit,
minute by minute, second by second, but if you get in that muscle memory of looking even without having the ball all around you, it definitely helps, as well as receiving on the half and protecting the ball. I think those are vital key points that will help you in not you know, in protecting the ball and being able to check and look and have vision and awareness of what's around you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and overall, just trying to think ahead, being a few plays ahead of the game, you know, and not just trying to check your shoulder right before the pass, already knowing where the 2-3 players closest to you already are. So that's definitely a big component of awareness while playing. It's not just reactivity, it's proactivity and knowing ahead of time what's going on the field in your environment.
Good point.
Cool. Yep. So we have another question. It's, how do you know when to pass or when to dribble?
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of this is situation awareness. You know, I think it depends in each situation, but you know, for me, you'd want to pass if you have a man on you. At least, again, protecting the ball is key as well. So, and also for me, if you've turned and you have that space, then you should take your space and then make an awareness to pass something or to someone or a teammate, you know, with that vision of seeing him and how to pass, as opposed to just flagrantly passing. You don't have to pass the ball, but putting yourself in a situation where you can see and have the vision to play the ball, as well as taking your space, is key.
You're breaking up, Tony.
Can you hear me now?
May have lost you. You there?
Yeah. You here? Yeah, these are some
I lost you for a little bit.
Yeah, some of the little glitches we have to get through with everybody home and data and
that's
stuff.
That's what it is, man. Wi-Fi's getting burnt out in the world. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
But hopefully the recording captured what you were saying, because you're spot on. To me, I think of it just coming down to space and time, you know, and when you have time and space, you know, there's nothing wrong with dribbling and taking that space, and letting the options open up as you take that space. You know, and at the same time, when you are under pressure, that might be a good time to pass, you know, and not hold on to that ball. Keep the ball moving. At the same time, you know, there's plenty of opportunities where you do have time and space, and you also have a passing option. So in those situations, what is the better option? Well, who's in a better situation, you with the ball or the player with the pass. If the pass that you have is potentially with that pass, if he's going to go on to goal with that one pass, he may be the better option. Instead of trying to dribble past the defender yourself, it's also, again, situational, who's in a better position at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's equal at that point, it all happens so quickly that, you might just need to make a quick decision, and let your intuition and decision making just react in that moment. Sometimes it's not whether it's right or wrong. It's there's some things that are just better or worse, so they both may work out. One may be better, one may be a little worse, but they can both be correct. Sometimes it's not right or wrong, black and white. There's a gray area where both can work. One may be a little more effective, may be a little more consistent. So to me, that's what's just flowing through my mind there.
Yeah, I mean, let's remember that a pass is quicker than dribbling, right? So, again, it's one of those situations that if you have a teammate that's closer to the goal and a goal scoring opportunity, what's our plan? What's the game about? Putting the ball in the back of the net. So obviously you'd want to look at that as a primo option, is to make that pass and get that pass to that person. But taking your space is a part of the game as well. So I think we should just keep that in mind. I want to thank the people for the players who have submitted the questions, and keep them coming.
Yes.
We love to answer them.
Yes,
and
thank you.
If we can help in any way, that's what we're here for. That's what we take pride in, trying to help you as the player. We don't profess to know it all, but I think between the two of us, we can provide you with good clarity and quality in a situation, game or training.
Yeah, so definitely. And I mean, you can keep and just quickly, you can keep your questions general, but it's almost maybe a better idea to keep them specific. And what's on your mind, what's in your situation, what happens when you and a teammate aren't getting along, or you and a coach aren't getting along, and give us some context. Sometimes, there's nothing wrong with being specific here. And if it's a problem further, we can always consult and help and be there to help you. Because, a player always has these issues, so that leads us to the last question. So TekEVO question of the day: how can I elevate my game to be the best I can be, especially during this COVID crisis where we're quarantined and stuck indoors right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can elaborate. I think, the main thing is, what's everybody doing now? It's all about this online. So our thoughts and what we do at TekEVO is we do field training and cognitive, which is a lot of mental and class, so to speak, work. So that's, for me, the best part of a full player's perspective, getting, part one and part two, so to speak, not only playing on the field, but providing some options and some thought process with respect to your mental thoughts. And Evan can elaborate a little bit more. He's gone through it, and we've been successful with many players in helping them see some different things off the field as well as on, and vice versa. So for me, I think that's key to maximizing yourself as a player and your level, is understanding that you can't just do the work on the field. There's also what you can do off the field. And with all that's going on in the world today, we're almost, in a situation where many of us, this is all we have, So, I think that's a good way to push forward in your level.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. I think, I'm reluctant to say that this situation is a blessing, because of course there's a lot of hardship during this time. There's a lot of illness and even death, but at the same time, this maybe is a time where maybe more time with our families, where we can focus on each other, the people you love, and maybe this is a time where we approach the game where we've never been able to, where I haven't, not me, but a player may not have had a game in a few months, and how often do we get to take a step back from the game and now maybe approach training in a different light, which in this way, and we're almost forced in this way, is an online platform, and the cognitive side, the mental training side of things. How often do we really get that side of training? How often do we put time aside for the educational part of the game? It's more just showing up to practice, training, games, all the physical side of it, but how much time are we really putting aside for the mental part and really becoming a student of the game and really trying to learn these all aspects of the game and training on the mental side? So you're completely correct. And luckily, we are trying to create these avenues where now, we're going to have online courses. We have cognitive training where we can get on Zoom or Hangout, whatever's best for you, with these players, and they can come one-on-one and discuss these problems and ways we can create better environments and better training habits and better technique. And that's what we're really striving for. So we can really tune into this, so as stressful as this time is, maybe it's a good time to really reflect on the game and become more of a student of the game, rather than just the brute aspect of training hard every day and playing hard in the games,
Good point. So yeah, just keep that in mind, and again, keep the questions coming. We appreciate your time. You can follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram.
Right.
This is TekEVO's. It's a tongue twister. TekEVO's weekly podcast called Tekker Talks. So tune in; it'll be every Friday. And signing out, I'm Tony.
This is episode 1 right here. So welcome to history here.
All right, this is Tony and Evan signing off. Take care.
See you guys. Thanks for joining.